H.GTV Sports, it's in the cave.
I will say they are looking extremely solid, and I do love to see an underdog story, with the young team coming in to get the win. But
warm weather environment, warm weather area. They come up to a place that gets really cold, and they just grind to a halt. They're not used to it.
But I was missing all that time.
That's a big play on soccer.
Kick it out to Bryant. Pass it over to Cox for three. Got it!
On foot or by the help of transportation to knock on windows where
HG, we had a great Super Bowl weekend. That is our first topic of discussion. We're going to wrap up the season, give our final breakdown of how the NFL season was.
And while we're doing this, we encourage everybody. Let's, season's over, so it's time to reminisce. So let us know what some of your favorite moments from this season were. We got the text line. Call us. Comment on all of our lives. It's always bittersweet when the NFL season comes to an end, but especially we can always look back on it. It's a very interesting season this year. A lot of injuries.
Really could have went either way with any team. Anyone could have won it, but
and really, Kansas City cementing that they are a dynasty. It looked like they could have easily been first round exits watching their regular season play. But man, they picked a great time to get it all together.
Yeah,
you saw teams down the stretch like Miami and Philadelphia. They started the year strong and then
fell apart.
They collapsed.
Jacksonville, they weren't even in the playoffs because of it. Started off 8-3 and they ended 9-8.
So
what a season for Jacksonville. That sucks though. They were actually pretty good.
Yeah. They just couldn't figure out.
It could have been another underdog story. But none of the underdogs really got it. Mahomes got a taste of the playoffs and he's not going to stay out of it.
No. The beginning of the year, I think the Chiefs, they were the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl again. So
yeah,
just goes to show the Vegas odds makers, they know what they're talking about. We got to talk about what's his name at NFL Network, Peter Schrafer. He's accurately predicted the past 5 Super Bowl winners.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, he always gives a Super Bowl prediction.
Well, it's easy to predict when you're rigging,
If it was rigged,
he's got the inside script. He knows.
If it was rigged, I feel like one of those underdog teams would have won. Because then it's like WWE. The good guy always ends up winning eventually.
That's very true. Very true.
Well, this is just the year that we had to wait, I guess, if it's scripted.
Hey, maybe
this is the year the bad guy wins.
Taylor
2 years in a row.
Come in and they had to let the Chiefs win it to capture the Swifty football sales.
Oh, did you want much money?
Did you want to tell people the breaking news that we heard this morning that they're talking about that it reported?
Oh yeah, before we get too deep into our discussion, since he was a famous football player, O.J. Simpson, there's further information coming out on his story. So what is it? H-Train is.
So basically, what they're saying, from what I read on the article, this old guy. I don't know if you've ever seen. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie. It's like the Kodiak Killer or whatever. But it's
Zodiac?
yeah. So this retired cop.
Yeah.
He's obsessed with the story, and because of the new DNA advances in technology, the DNA detection could lead to an arrest. It's his son, and it makes perfect sense. I didn't even know he had a son.
That's pretty crazy though. That how did they get the information though, this late in this long after?
Dude, I don't know. And everybody, this isn't coming off of Reddit. As you can
this
see,
is actual news.
This is an actual news source. It's coming from CBS News. Obsessed with OJ, local private eye claims he's cracked the case. Now, we'll see. We will see if there's not an arrest made after 5 days. We'll see.
They ended up
because it usually takes about 5 days for this stuff to happen.
That'll be interesting to see.
So that was pretty crazy.
That's our
news this morning.
Yeah, breaking news this morning.
Right? I mean, hell, when those 2 representatives resigned, we found out this morning, and then the very next day they resigned. So it just takes a couple of days.
That'll be back to our Super Bowl.
My bad.
That's actually really interesting because I didn't know about that. I was seeing a bunch of memes why is he trending again?
I mean, if it is true, man, nobody will. That's going to be a lot of validation for OJ, but we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll get back to you if anything actually comes of this.
But I wonder if OJ could sue the city or whatever for everything that he went through and all that other stuff. If this is to be true.
Never know.
Okay.
That's true. I mean, got to score to beat the Mahomes. 3 points. 3 points is not enough to be up and think that your defense can hold them if you're giving them the last possession with all that time. The new overtime rules, they needed 7 right there since the other team was going to get a chance.
And I mean, this is the first time we've seen it play out, so it's very interesting. It's what's the strategy here? Do you want to take the ball? Do you want to give the other guys a chance first and try to have that third possession? So definitely a tough spot for the Niners to be in, but
that's why they should have. That's why they needed to score a touchdown because they got the ball first in OT.
But we can go back to even the beginning of the game. Some missed opportunities for them. They really kept the Chiefs in this, never being able to pull too far ahead. I mean, it was a super even turnover battle. Each team only committed 6 penalties.
Yeah.
And it ended exactly the way you're expecting when you, in a game where both teams are evenly matched, but Mahomes is the other quarterback. Usually what happens is he wins. It's a bit anticlimactic. It's what you'd expect, but you gave the guy the last possession.
Yeah, what'd you expect?
Well, pretty much the same. We've just been seeing it happen over and over. It doesn't mean it gets any easier to watch, but you have to do something different. To be able, first it was to be able to beat the Bradys, now to be able to beat Mahomes. You gotta win big somewhere. Somebody's got to make a huge difference.
Out of the Dre Greenlaw injury is really what started a momentum swing for the Chiefs too, because Oren Burks, this is his stats in coverage after he got subbed in. 9 targets, 9 catches allowed. He allowed a touchdown, 134.7 passer rating when he was targeted, and a 32.1 coverage grade.
Yeah.
So it was literally the worst thing that could happen. Dre Greenlaw gets injured walking out to the field after a punt.
So I have a question for you. Do you think the target, what we're talking about, do you think that maybe that's the reason why Andy Reid got in with it with Travis Kelce on the sidelines?
Well, that was because when the fumble happened after they got that really long pass early, he wasn't in the play during the fumble. So he was pretty much going to Andy Reid telling him put me in the game. I would have that wouldn't have happened if you got me the ball right there. People are saying that Travis Kelce pushed him. He just walked up and was yelling, and he scared the shit out of Andy Reid. He made him jump a little bit. It was they're just like that when they were down 10-3.
People
early.
get like excited when when they get real anxious and stuff.
He wants to win.
It's the biggest game of the year. It's the Super Bowl. I mean, emotions are running high on all sides. I was watching something earlier this morning. A couple of guys talking about his injury, Dre Greenlaw's, how that might be the worst injury we've ever seen in sports, just based on the circumstances alone. I mean, biggest stage of your career, huge game, and you get injured just taking the field after a punt, and your team wasn't able to pull out a win either. So, and your replacement got picked on. I mean, the Niners defense
they pretty much had their number for like the whole game.
Those like that final drive in overtime and a lot of the second half, they could have really used an all-pro caliber linebacker out there. I mean, they had Fred Warner, but
every time you turned around, they're a 49er down. I mean, they like lost 4 players during that one game.
It sucks too, because
and I think
they've been there.
Losing Greenlaw, where that really hurts you is having a spy on Mahomes, because that's where he killed him in the second, was using his legs, and that's how he kills a lot of teams. Now, if you're able to still have Greenlaw or Warner out there in coverage, out there on Kelsey, and then you're able to have the other one spying Mahomes,
that's what they needed.
I mean, you got
the versatility that they had, and
really
their defense really fell.
They didn't have that in the second half, and they made him pay that way. But I mean, the injury is not the only reason they lost. I want to just go back to the offense of the Niners. First of all, they got away from the run way too much.
They didn't run until OT. Like the second half, they strayed away from it.
McCaffrey, he did end up getting like 22 attempts, but it was just like we weren't consistently seeing the running down the stretch. They ran a lot on their first few drives, and we saw them get up to like a 10-0 lead. And then they kept trying to pass it. And I mean, besides Christian McCaffrey and Juwan Jennings a little bit, because he threw a touchdown, caught one. I mean, like, guys just disappeared. Like, it can't be all on McCaffrey. He led the team in rushing and receiving yards and caught a touchdown. And it's just, so he had 160 total yards, 80 rushing, 80 receiving, and 30 touches. I mean, everybody else went quiet. Kittle, Ayuk, and Samuel, these guys all combined for 11 total touches for just 94 yards between the 3 of them.
The secondary of the Chiefs really played to their strengths. I also feel like they weren't, I don't know, like Ayuk and Kittle and Debo, why are they not getting the ball? Or like, how are you're not just creating plays for them to call their own number, like those screens? I feel like they didn't work the outside too often, where they try to get the edge with McCaffrey or Debo on the screens. They could have done, I feel like they had chances, just like every other team that's played the Chiefs in the playoffs. They have chances to win, just don't capitalize on them. I agree with sticking to the run for their identity, but at the same time, their pass game was just, they weren't even able to get a thing to work.
Yeah, Purdy was pretty inaccurate. I mean, he was around 60% for the game, but just some missed throws, missed opportunities. I mean, not going to take anything away from Kansas City's defense. They played really well. I mean, they're a great defense. They're the reason
carried the Chiefs.
They're the reason the Chiefs still won the AFC West this year, because the offense was,
they couldn't find it.
Lackluster at best.
Dropping the ball.
Season. Yeah, most drops in the league. So the defense is what got them into the playoffs. And I mean, they've continued to play at a high level in the playoffs. Something I found pretty interesting, though, is they didn't have a single sack at Chiefs defense. And they have a pretty formidable pass rush.
They were creating pressure. They just didn't get to the quarterback all the way, which, I mean, it did enough. So
if we take it back to 3rd and 4 in overtime, if you guys remember, I mean, Chris Jones blew that play up, and he didn't get
unblocked
at all,
straight at Purdy.
And you had Brandon Ayuk for a touchdown, and it's just like, why in that moment is the best defensive player on the Chiefs roster unblocked?
Just going straight through. I mean, I guess there's probably just the play call on defense that could have just he got right into that gap. That's just how they designed the blitz to work. But dang, that he literally just straight through the middle. There was no one near him, and a bright red jersey. It was just one guy flying through everyone. It was like a movie moment where the final two guys are moving in slow motion, running at each other in the pouring rain in the cliche football movies. But we can take a look at that last play real quick. Okay. Apparently, the NFL had Patrick Mahomes mic'd up during the Super Bowl, so they got to hear his reaction and the play call.
Never forget the pickles.
We got a streaker! Oh my God, mid-play.
No, what?
It's called Patrick Mahomes' final play.
Oh, my bad.
So we got a lot of clips.
Yeah, there is a lot of clips.
I just want to show you guys the good stuff.
Yeah.
Patrick. Everybody, I'm sorry. For some reason, I'm having a hard time finding. What is it named? Patrick Mahomes? Because I don't see anything.
Should be like Mahomes' final play in there. In those top section of clips, like that top group.
Yeah.
Under the intro.
I'm starting to wonder if you guys didn't put. Oh, there we go. Hey. All right, I'm retarded.
Hey, so got Church right bunch, F, shuttle, Tom and Jerry right, yellow. Orange, let's go!
13 seconds to go in the overtime.
Set. We're good.
A touchdown wins the game.
Set.
Right side touchdown! Kansas City! There is a back-to-back Super Bowl champion, and it is the Kansas City Chiefs.
There's also the reactions of the players, but go ahead, HG.
It's just like they make it look so easy, and it's just that final drive they had. I mean, it was just methodical. I don't think the Niners
straight down the field
forced a single negative play or there wasn't at least a gain of 0 even. I think that they managed to gain yards on every single play.
People are pointing this out. I should have grabbed a clip of it, but there was one play. It was like 3rd and 2 on that overtime drive. They picked up the first down, and they messed up on something. I don't even know what happened. They might have fixed it later on. But the next play, Patrick Mahomes scrambles out, and he runs for 2 yards. And instead of it being like 2nd and 8, 2nd and 7, it reset it to 1st and 10 again on the NFL game. Like on TV, it was like everybody was freaking out about that.
I'm not even I don't even think in the game. I mean, the officials knew it was 2nd down, right? I think that was
they're gonna move the chains, right? So everyone was freaking out. Yeah, everyone was freaking out about it. Like
I saw a compilation of missed holding penalties on the Chiefs. They definitely got away with some.
I saw a lot too.
I mean, it happens on.
I mean, Bosa said they hold a lot,
but. I think it was just like some especially glaring ones that could have been called.
Especially when they lead the league in their penalties. Their 2 tackles. They led the league this year in holding penalties. So that's something you should probably watch out for as the Super Bowl officiating crew. It's funny too. They draw those officiating crews through a hat drawing.
Yep, they sure do.
That's I don't know about
Except they didn't do that with the replacement refs. Remember that? that year in
football.
football?
Oh my gosh! Yes, that was the dumbest season ever.
One guy got in trouble because literally after the game he asked for his autograph.
That is so. Imagine just being a regular dude. The NFL tries to hire you to be a ref, like you're just a high school official. I would do it. That would be awesome.
Get their replacement restaurant? Do y'all remember? What was it? Did they just pull them up from like college or?
I need to look that up because if they pulled them up from college, I feel like they would have been so much better than they would have been.
I mean, I just keep thinking of the Fail Mary.
Yeah,
that was the biggest blunder from that year.
Let's go ahead and take a look at our the 49ers reactions. There's CMC, Purdy, and then there's Kittle and Mike Shanahan as well.
Okay.
But it's just the post Super Bowl.
So the Brock Purdy post Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's
obviously the game. Us. How we came up short. Obviously it's a sucky feeling, but I also am trying to have the perspective of, all right, this is happening for a reason. It's all part of all of our stories and stuff and our testimonies. So that's sort of the hope that I have for it. And more than anything, just being grateful for the kind of season that we had with the guys in this locker room, this team, this organization. We got to the Super Bowl. We went to overtime. We fell short of it. It sucks. We wanted it. We gave our all this year. But, man, I had the opportunity to do it with some really good people, and I'm thankful for that.
TikTok, Danny not only says hi, but he sends you a heart.
Thank you, Danny.
And I don't tell these guys, but if you get a heart here on your show, then they get a candy bar. So for every heart that you guys send, just know that they get a candy bar. So
that's
go ahead.
Gonna be my healthy breakfast this morning. Thank you, Danny.
Fatten this up, people.
Let's check out those other reactions. We have Kittle, another interview with Purdy, and we got Christian McCaffrey as well.
That's always the.
I got a CMC Nick.
That one.
Okay.
Yeah, it hurts. Hurts deep. It's something that you dream about as a kid. You've worked so hard for all year and come up short. I think you just have to go through all the emotions as they come, but each day just chip away at getting back to normal. I don't know how long it's going to take. It's still fresh and it still sucks, but.
McCaffrey,
I know he deserves it more than anyone. And Purdy, honestly.
Did you see his arms, dude? His arms were like black and blue when the camera was sprayed on him. Like I looked at it, I'm like, wow, that guy has heart. That guy's a beast. I am a McCaffrey fan.
I don't know if
running through the line like that, you get beat up.
This was earlier in the season,
and I didn't see his father play. Was Ed McCaffrey like that, or
Ed
Super Bowl champion too?
Ed took some
on the 49ers receivers. He was a 49er. He's a Bronco.
Yeah. Oh, Ed
very good player.
Would get just absolutely crushed going over the middle and would hang on to the ball. I don't know if you guys saw this from earlier in the season. Christian McCaffrey's wife posted a picture on her Instagram of their bed sheets the day after a game, and they're all bloody and just soaked in blood. And she's gotta do a bunch of special stuff to watch him because he just gets all sorts of cut up and jacked up. He goes through a lot. Running, catching the ball, he is
like Jokic's arms.
I know,
and cut up in the post and scratched.
He takes a lot of punishment for that team.
I guess I've never saw that from Joker. I saw it on McCaffrey. I mean, black and blue, and I'm like, holy crap, he's still in
helmets, shoulder pads.
Oh my god,
they're grabbing at you. You're sliding just forearm and bicep to the turf. That's tough as being the only exposed area. Yeah, turf burn is the absolute worst if you've ever experienced that. Jeez. And there is another video. I think it's called 49ers post Super Bowl.
Go back and look at the tape. I think that's what you're going to want to say. It's football. The ball doesn't bounce your way sometimes. They're a really good team. So you got to score touchdowns if you want to, win these games and beat the Chiefs.
Don't have a lot of words for it, but obviously we're hurting. Our team's hurting, but that's how it goes when you put yourself out there. I'm real proud of our guys for it's so hard today. Not everything was perfect by no means, but
and I hurt for all the other guys, our whole team. What we've been through the last year hasn't been easy, and for it to go like that, where it's close at the end, and it's tough, and I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it.
First thing, where did Purdy? He got a fancy suit on just straight after post game. Yeah, he went from like a long sleeve shirt to that suit. So he's business. I like that about them, that they seem really professional after the loss.
Right.
Nobody was upset really with any calls.
We don't think about this, but it's just something to think about mentally. When they lose a Super Bowl like that, they're gonna have like some kind of form of like PTSD or feeling or depression, feeling bad about the whole thing, because they had a interview with Tom Brady one time, and he was like, "Hey, out of all these Super Bowls, which one bothers you the most? That you lost or won?" And he was like, "This one." And they're like, "Why?" "Because you have 6, 7, 8 rings, kind of thing." And he's like, "Because that's the one that I didn't get." So like, it's crazy how we don't think about that. A lot of people don't think about that. So I just bringing it up.
Play to win the game.
Yeah.
Was he talking about the 2007 season?
Probably.
Yeah,
was that the undefeated year when
Super Bowls
lost to Eli? Yeah. Man, Eli just stumped everybody's Super Bowl dreams that year, not just Brady. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are still depressed about that season.
Because he was the Giants. They were a wild card team too. They weren't even they didn't even win their division.
Dude, Eli Manning sucked.
Yeah, it was like not at all their best season, especially with Eli Manning. That's crazy.
Say he sucked, but he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion.
I know. Everybody says that, man. I know.
That's why I love Eli. He would get sacked.
If it helps, I'm a radio DJ and I'm on the radio.
He would get sacked, helmet turned completely sideways where like he's looking out of the ear socket, giant chunks of grass in it, not even fix his helmet. Next play, he's throwing a 50-yard bomb to like Victor Cruz or somebody deep. He was just that type of quarterback. It just felt, it was so funny. It was like a superhero. He would just get hit really hard and then throw a touchdown the next play. It's really funny watching Eli play.
Yeah.
What else do we have to cover for the Super Bowl? It was on Nickelodeon for the first time. They brought in.
That was kind of cool.
They have some celebrities they introduced. I got a clip of that.
Very interesting broadcast.
It was weird. SpongeBob was sending shots too. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I saw he was kind of roasting some people.
He was going for the neck.
Early Super Bowl predictions.
I think it's called Nick or Super Bowl celebs.
Okay, got it.
Celebrities in the crowd, including Samuel L. Jackson.
I love his movie Eels on a Boat.
What about Doja Catfish? She's looking real good. Oprah Winfrey.
Purple is her color. Yeah. Purple is definitely her color.
That's a great way to get young kids.
They learn the game too.
Yeah.
Dora was explaining the penalties and everything too. I should have brought a clip of that, but it was hilarious. They brought that My Leg dude. That's that top clip. I'll play that one, H Train. The one we almost played first. This one's funny.
Never forget the pickles.
And the one thing that I don't like about that is that it really felt like it was their attempt at AI generating a broadcast.
Mm.
I don't know if you noticed, like the SpongeBob and Patrick voices, it didn't sound like it was the actual voice actors in the studio. It felt like AI. So I think that was like their crack at having like AI broadcast team, because that was interesting.
That I'm not a huge fan of.
Like I can try and find something later when we're on break to show you guys, but it was really.
Yeah, I was gonna say
weird.
you might want to go on break. We're past like the 15-minute mark. We're at like 30.
You want to do a quick break before we talk about the rest of our postseason, or do you want to keep going, HG?
Well, we'll go to a quick break.
Okay.
Here. Stay with us. Also, I mean, let us know what y'all are thinking. What was your favorite moment of the Super Bowl, the NFL season?
We're going to give a prediction next and talk about our postseason awards. So we got a few more things to cover with the end of the season. If you want to call in and let us know favorite moment of the season, even. But we'll be right back with you guys. Stay with us.
Been home about 6 months now, and I still have my doubts. Well, I'm not sure how I got here or how I'm gonna get out. Well, my mama says I look the same as I did before I left, but if she could see inside of me, it would scare her to death. I can still taste the powder from the barrel of my gun, and I can hear my sergeant screaming, "Run, soldier, run!" And I can feel the backpack on my shoulders, God, and weighed a ton. And I see death in every single thought. Well, they taught me how to put that uniform on. I just can't get it off. Last Saturday they honored us in a small parade downtown, and when they shot off those fireworks, I nearly hit the ground. And while they smiled and cheered for us, all I could do was stare. 'Cause part of me is here at home, but part of me's back there. Well, I can still taste the powder from the barrel of my gun, and I can hear my sergeant screaming, "Run, soldier, run!" And I can feel the backpack on my shoulders, God, and weighed a ton. And I see death in every single thought. They taught me how to put that uniform on. I just can't get it off. Yeah, there's no end in sight. 'Cause even though I'm home now, I'm still fighting for my life. Well, I can still taste the powder from the barrel of my gun, and I can hear my sergeant screaming, "Run, soldier, run!" And I can feel the backpack on my shoulders, God, and weighed a ton. And I see death in every single thought. Well, they taught me how to put that uniform on. I just can't get it off. Well, the devil's won some battles, and he may win some more, but don't he know the American soldier will always win the war?
with our recap of the NFL season, talking about the Super Bowl.
NFL
we dove
honors.
into that a lot. But let us know if you got any more. You want to hear about the Super Bowl. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL honors, give our thoughts on this year's award winners. And we got the 2024 Hall of Fame class was also announced. So we'll jump into that a little bit. But let's start with the big one. Granddaddy of them all. MVP. Lamar Jackson obviously won it. How are we feeling about that, Caveman?
I think he deserved it, honestly, in my opinion. He had a great regular season, if they are regular season awards. The way they went out in the postseason was kind of disappointing, but I think he still overall had an MVP season with the Ravens. I think if you're just considering regular season, they were one of the most under the radar number one seeds that we've had in a really long time in football, in my opinion. Just compared to like what the media was talking about this year, the Ravens, even though having one of the best records in the NFL, flew under the radar. So I'm glad he won it. How do you feel about it, HG? Because I know we wanted to do an awfully opinionated segment on this, so we'll talk about MVP.
It wasn't like he wasn't deserving, but he did also have one of the best defenses in football. And I'm just I don't know, the award MVP is kind of getting, at least in the NFL, it usually is just going to like the quarterback on like the team with the best record now. So that's how I felt it's been the past few years. Like Lamar had a great season. All right, he's the only player to have multiple seasons where he's passed for 3,000 plus yards and rushed for over 800 plus. He's done that twice, won MVP in both of his seasons. But like, he had a really, really good team around him. Like, is he as valuable to a team as, Josh Allen was to the Bills? Because Allen accounted for 44 of their 54 touchdowns this year.
That's true.
Or like,
CMC is in that conversation as well.
Yeah. And I left him out of the MVP talk because he did win Offensive Player of the Year.
True.
Christian McCaffrey. But like also like a guy like Tyreek Hill, had nearly 120 receptions, was a yard short of 1,800 yards, 13 TDs. He participated in 86% of his team's route participation. He had a 36% target rate, which was the highest on his team.
Battled through injury.
Yeah, and his house burning down.
Yeah, I forgot about that. His house literally, that is insane.
Still playing at a high level like that. I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. I have his jersey, even though I'm not a Ravens fan. And he is a great player. He's electrifying and fun to watch. But when I think of MVP, I'm like thinking of the guy that makes his team better. And like, if you took that guy away from this team, how much worse they would be. That, in my opinion, is what an MVP is. But hasn't really been that way. Like last year, when Hurts won it, it's like, well, did Hurts? Yeah, he had a great season, but I mean, the Eagles also had like the most dominant defense in the league, and they had, the best offensive line. They had like a great 1-2 punch at wide receiver, and it's just like, I feel like you could change out other people at that position, and that team would still be successful. Would they be as successful without that quarterback?
Maybe.
Probably not. But let's take the Bills this year. Take away Josh Allen.
They would have been where they were when Brady was running the AFC East. It would have been like old times with Buffalo. Because Stephon Diggs, like he needs his quarterback. I feel like they have very good tight ends over there and good running back core. I feel like they really were not able to get the offense going without Josh Allen.
No,
there's players that play a huge role. They're a big gear that turn on the football team because there's just so much things that have to work right in order for like the team to function. So there's some people that play bigger roles, and it's I feel like that does get undermined. I do agree with you there, HG. Some people don't. Some people deserve more of that recognition. How did you feel about our rookies of the year, both from Houston, Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud?
Well, I mean, C.J. Stroud, you couldn't pick anybody else to win it. He had, the third most passing yards in a season for a rookie quarterback behind guys Andrew Luck and Justin Herbert, who both had pretty good NFL careers. And I mean, he started his career. He had the most pass attempts to start the career without throwing an interception, with 191 there. And I remember that Week 9 game. He had one of my favorite games of the year against the Buccaneers. Him and Baker Mayfield going back and forth, throwing touchdowns. And Stroud ended up throwing for 470 in that game. That was an incredible game. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm super happy with him winning that. Will Anderson Jr., he had a pretty solid season. I'm okay with him winning that too. I can't really think of any like defensive rookies this year that really jumped out a huge amount. There are definitely some guys that had some good stretches. I don't know if there was ever a rookie that was consistently really dominant all season long, but Anderson, franchise record for rookie sacks in the season with 7. He also had 10 TFLs, 22 quarterback hits. And then he did have like one of the top 10 highest pass rush win rates too as a rookie. So that's pretty impressive. So I'm okay with both of those. I think those guys are both pretty deserving. How did you feel about it?
I like those picks, honestly. Reminded me back when the Saints had that in 2017. Marshawn Lattimore and Alvin Kamara. They look pretty great. I can't wait to see where that team goes. The AFC has a lot to look out for.
Yeah, the Texans, man, what a great job they did in their draft. So
the Houston rookie quarterback and the rookie coach going to the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, Houston fans deserve this after everything Deshaun Watson put them through.
Yes, and D-Hop.
Yeah.
So they lost everyone that they had that were like their huge superstars. That team went a full rebuild.
We're even forgetting they had another rookie of the year on the offensive side of the ball candidate, and Tank Dell. He was great. Nico Collins looks really good. I think Dalton Schultz is a good fit down there. He's a really reliable tight end. So, a lot to look forward to with that team. And they had another guy that could have been defensive rookie of the year, and Derek Stingley over there on the defensive side of the ball. So Texans fans, we're happy for you. And I'm a Stroud boy myself. Love the guy, so looking forward to him having a long, successful career.
Comeback player of the year.
Before we got to that, what do you think of our offensive and defensive players of the year? We got to talk about CMC, Myles Garrett. I mean, CMC was my pick for MVP, but I'll let you go first on this one.
I think he should have been MVP as well, especially after they went so far, make it into the Super Bowl with his bloody arms, all bruised up. Like, that's a season that you can remember from him right there. I think any season from him in the future is going to be like that. He's going to stay the same consistency. I don't think there's really a better choice other than Tyreek Hill for an offensive player of the year since Lamar got the MVP.
Absolutely.
Myles Garrett at defensive player of the year. That's honestly a good pick. I feel like you could have went anywhere with it. You got guys, Lions, their new young guy on the defensive line.
Oh, Hutchinson.
Aiden Hutchinson. Sorry to forget your name. Aiden Hutchinson definitely could have won that. I mean, it could have been a toss-up on defense, but I like Myles Garrett. The Browns did a lot this season. They even got coach of the year. Stefanski over there.
So just I want to go back, gas up Christian McCaffrey a little bit more. I'm glad he won one award. Definitely should have gotten MVP, but he had a great season. He had 2,000 plus scrimmage yards, 21 total touchdowns. He actually led the NFL in scrimmage yards per game with 126. Scrimmage touchdowns with the 21. He had the most rushing yards in the league. That was 1,459. He also had the most first downs picked up by any player and the most 10-yard plus runs of any player. He had 44 runs of 10 yards or more.
Do you guys want us to play the segment intro, or we're not there yet?
Not there yet.
Not there yet. And then Garrett, I mean, a quieter year for him in sacks. He only had 14, but I want to point out he had the second highest pass rush win rate against the third highest double team rate, and he led the number one regular season defense in the NFL. And in the month of December, where they went on to win 4 games in a row and clinch a playoff berth, bolstered by that great defense, he had the most pass rush wins of any player that month with 35. And the next closest guy and the only other player over 20 pass rush wins that month was TJ Watt with 26. So
that dude is a genetic freak.
Get his team to the playoffs. Yeah, he wasn't getting the sacks, but you see the win rate.
Getting to the quarterback in general is what he's doing.
I mean,
and that's his job.
A throwaway or forcing an early check down with the speed that they have on defense. That's stuff that doesn't really show up on the stat sheet as much unless you go into the advanced stats. But it's a large reason why they had the best, 3-and-out rate in the league, the best third down rate in the league. So both pretty deserving guys right there. And then, as you mentioned, Coach Stefanski was Coach of the Year. Easy pick for me. I mean, he had 5 different starting quarterbacks.
Now, who else do you go with there, really?
Still coached his team to an 11-6 record, made the playoffs. Great job overcoming adversity. And you also lost your star running back in Nick Chubb, but he made it work. Obviously, they were a first-round exit, but
first-round
midway
exit
of the season, I thought the Browns' season was over and that they wouldn't even have a chance at the playoffs, and he proved everybody wrong.
Yeah, they flipped it around. And that brings us to the comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco. I mean, I really thought DeMar Hamlin was going to win it just because he literally almost died and still came back to play football. He didn't really have that big of an impact with the Bills defense, but he almost died and literally had the courage to come and play again. So
he was inactive
props
for most
to him.
Of their games. He was a great story. I do think he got a nod at the ESPYs. Flacco was he was a good pick too, though. Went from being on his couch to start the season. He was 4-1 as a starter, in 5 starts, threw for 1,600 yards, 13 touchdowns. He had a passer rating of 90.
Dude was balling out.
Yeah. I gotta say though, I wanted Baker for comeback player of the year, if I'm going to be honest.
I agree. He had a pretty good season there too. That's one that could have taken it.
Going into the year, people were like, how long until Baker's benched for somebody else? They're like, the Bucs are desperate. They're just trying to, how are you going to fill the shoes of Tom Brady being there? I mean, that's a lot of pressure for a guy that was bounced around to 2 or 3 different teams last season. And now,
yeah.
And when he comes
Tampa
out,
got in the playoffs, second round.
Leads them to the second round of the playoffs in the regular season. He threw for over 4,000 yards. He had 28 passing touchdowns, a passer rating of 94 all year. I mean, you're filling the shoes of the GOAT, and that's a lot of pressure just in of itself.
They got into the postseason. That is a step.
Yeah.
So Tampa Bay fans should be very, very happy with the outcome of their season, honestly.
Obviously, he's going to be a free agent this year. Same with Mike Evans. So we'll see what Tampa does there. But
could be a whole new group in Tampa, or it could be the same.
Maybe they try to bring them back, but could be they could have something special there if they do bring him in, because it was a great season by Baker.
How about those NFL Hall of Famers?
I think this is an amazing Hall of Fame class. This is a great one. And this one is really special to me because these are a lot of the guys that when I first started watching football.
Yeah, we grew up watching these guys.
These were a lot of the guys that I grew up with and who I first, I first saw when I became a football fan. So, I mean, we got Dwight Freeney. He had one of the most vicious spin moves of a pass rusher. He was a dominant pass rusher over his career. Man, 341 tackles, 125 and a half sacks, 125 tackles for a loss. He forced 47 forced fumbles in 16 seasons.
Recovered 4 of them.
Yeah, dude was
17 swats. He's got a defensive touchdown. He's done it all. He was on the Super Bowl champion Colts.
And he was 7, 8 Pro Bowls, something like that. Couple of, I think
7-time Pro Bowler,
7-time
sack leader in 2004.
Yeah, like 3 first team All Pros over his career as well.
3 first team All Pros, a second team.
So, man, he was something else.
He was a first team in all Big East conference over in Syracuse in college.
Yeah,
so he'd been doing it forever.
He was a lot of fun to watch, man, out there with, you had Peyton Manning on one side for the Colts and you had Dwight Freeney on the other side. That was one heck of a tandem. Another guy in this class, Devin Hester. I mean, the best
return
god.
Specialist. Unfortunately, they had Jay Cutler, but I mean, they could have had one of the best receiving corps in the entire NFL with him and Brandon Marshall.
And 11 seasons, he took back an NFL record, 20 return touchdowns. He had over 11,000 return yards. And I mean, he wasn't a terrible receiver either. He was mostly used in the special teams game, but he got 255 career receptions for about 3,300 yards, 16 receiving touchdowns. But I don't think to do him justice, you have to realize like a lot of teams would opt to just, before they move the kickoffs up to the 35, if your option was to either kick the ball to Devin Hester or kick the ball out of bounds and let the Bears take it at the 40, there were teams
better off kicking it out of bounds.
They felt safer just kicking it out of bounds. In a close game, you just scored to tie the game up. Well, defense, you're going to have a short field to stop the Bears offense because we're not going to let 23 touch that ball.
4-time Pro Bowler. I mean, the kickoff return yards leader in 2013 and 2014. Punt return yards leader 2006 and 2010.
And
you don't want to kick it to him.
One of the most iconic Super Bowl plays back in the day before everybody had cell phones and people were bringing like the flash cameras to the stadium. Colts, and this is a story from Tony Dungy about him. During the week they were game planning on like, all right, we're not going to kick the ball to Hester and everything. And then a few days before the Super Bowl, he goes to his team. He's like, you know what? That sounds like we're playing scared. He's like, I want to kick the ball right to him, and I want us to go down there and pound him. And on the opening play of the Super Bowl, he takes it to the house. And Tony Dungy's like, I immediately regretted that. He's like, thank goodness that didn't come back to
haunt them.
Me.
Yeah,
they were still able to win it, but an incredible touchdown.
This next one is one of my favorites.
Man, this guy was a beast of a wide receiver. Who remembers Andre Johnson?
You might remember him from compilation of NFL fight videos with the Titans cornerback Flanagan. But he was not just getting into fights on the field. He was absolutely dogging your team's secondary.
And 14 seasons, he racked up over 1,000 receptions. He had over 14,000 receiving yards and 70 receiving touchdowns. Dude.
That is on a team that wasn't very good. This is a team whose their quarterbacks bounced around all the time. They didn't really have that guy.
I mean, during his career, the best years of his career was when Houston had Matt Schwab. Those guys were pretty good together.
And Arian Foster on that team as well. I miss the old school Texans. They just needed a quarterback, man.
And Andre Johnson, he was fast, but he was also big and physical. He was just rare where he could beat you with speed or power.
2 times reception leader, 7-time Pro Bowler, two-time first team All Pro. I mean, he was receiving yards leader in 08 and 09 as well. This guy with a quarterback like Matt Schaub, they're pretty. This guy deserves it, honestly.
They all should. Next guy on the list, also equally deserving, another dominant pass rusher over his career. We got Julius Peppers. Man, this guy, he was sick too. He played 17 seasons, racked up 717 tackles. He had 159 and a half sacks. He forced 51 forced fumbles. He also had 11 interceptions, 172 tackles for a loss. Just so dominant for so many years of his career. And I think, people might have forgotten about this because he was on the Panthers, who would always go back and forth between being relevant and then
not relevant,
being bad. Played a little bit with the Packers too there towards the end of his career. But another guy that just could completely wreck a game for a team. You always had to have some eyes on him. Him coming off that edge was just hard to stop.
He's in the top 100 greatest Bears player. And the Bears have the most Hall of Fame players out of any team in the NFL history. So being a top 100 player on a team with that many good players, that many can reach the Hall of Fame, that's pretty. This dude was a demon.
Yeah.
Like, not somebody you want to see hitting your quarterback for an entire 60-minute game.
So another one of my favorite players growing up. And then now we're coming to a guy who was
another dude
played
we
at
all
the
grew
same
up
time
watching.
as Ray Lewis. And obviously Ray Lewis is one of the most intimidating linebackers of all time.
Don't forget about
this
dude.
This other number 52 was a scary dude as well. Patrick Willis only played 8 seasons, but in those 8 seasons, 950 tackles. Dude was a ball hawk.
One of the most dominant in the NFC.
He was able to rack up 20 and a half sacks as well. He forced 16 forced fumbles, 60 tackles for a loss. He had 8 interceptions. Man, remember him and Navarro Bowman there back in the early 2010s? That was another fearsome.
That was a scary defense.
How did the Niners keep doing this where they get like 2 all-pro caliber linebackers playing?
That's the team, man.
At the same time.
There's some teams that develop quarterbacks very well. They develop linebackers very well.
And they win them a Super Bowl, unfortunately.
I know. No matter what, it sucks. 49ers, I feel bad for the fans.
That was a sick combination.
He was a defensive rookie of the year as well. He won the Butkus Award in college and in the NFL. So, dude is a pretty well accomplished career. Good job, Patrick Willis, in 8 seasons.
He was one of those dudes that was like Ray Lewis, where it's like you are terrified of meeting that guy in the hole. Like,
whether it's a run, pass across the middle.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He didn't get trucked off in, if ever. It was he could really lay the boom.
It's like running into a brick wall. It's like a Bobby Wagner of that time. When that was when Bobby Wagner was kind of on his rise as well. The Legion of Boom days back in the 2010s. Who's next on our list here?
Next up, all right. Now we're getting a little bit before my time.
Old school.
Well, way before both of our times, to be honest.
Yeah,
we're going all the way back to one of the leaders of that Orange Crush defense, Randy Gradishar. Gradishar. I'm still having trouble pronouncing his last name, but
it is a long one.
This guy was a demon. He's actually the Broncos' all-time tackle leader. He had over 2,000 tackles in his career, and that was in 10 seasons. And he never missed a game in his NFL career. Dang. Also got 19 and a half sacks, 20 INTs, 4 defensive touchdowns over his career.
How long of a career did he have not missing a game? 10 seasons and he didn't miss a game. That is crazy. That's a old school classic Bronco for us this morning.
The Orange Crush defense.
And That's the Broncos as well. You guys are just known for creating some crazy defenses.
That's some good ones over the years. That was probably the most iconic because it lasted, it lasted a while. That was like a dynasty defense. They were huge all throughout the 70s, and he was a big reason why, because he was with that team for just about all of that decade. All right, and then our last guy is coming from another all-time iconic defense. Steve McMichael from the 85 Bears was one of their pass rushers. He played 15 seasons in the NFL, 95 sacks, 847 tackles, 13 forced fumbles, and was, a huge piece of one of the most iconic defenses of all time. If you're talking a single season defense, some of the most just dominant defenses over a single season, 3 immediately come to mind for me. Four. We have 85 Bears, 2000 Ravens, the 2013 Legion of Boom, 2015 No Fly Zone Broncos.
That's a pretty good list. I like that. I like that list, HG. Those are good defenses right there. Don't forget Bounty Gate defense. That's got to be number one. It's got to be number one on everyone's list. I do like those. Who do you think?
The bias coming through.
The intrusive thoughts have won with me today, so we're going. We're going that route.
All right.
So that was your picks. So that's one person out of those gets inducted, right, into the Hall of Fame, or is that all of them make it?
They're all going. They were the finalists, so they announced that these guys are going to be the 2024 Hall of Fame class.
That's awesome.
So Hall of Fame game in August, they will be inducted in, and then we'll have our first preseason game of the year.
Now
down there, great class, honestly. I mean,
with
all those guys. I mean, they do a good job of selecting good Hall of Famers, guys that are very deserving of it.
Yeah,
I will say the only caveat with Devin Hester, he deserves it because he was the absolute best of the best returners in the NFL, and he was.
Yeah, who else has done
dominant.
what he's done with the ball on
Definitely
kick return?
don't think we need to start inducting people just solely based off of return.
Yeah, return specialists.
Returning alone, but
that's like the best of the best, though.
He was the gold standard for returnmen.
Before we go to our team building exercise this week, what is your way too early prediction for the offseason? Because I have one. It's not way too early. It's kind of a draft prediction. And I've also got a video of a person's way too early Super Bowl prediction. But mine for the offseason, I think the Chicago Bears, are going to keep Justin Fields, and they're going to trade that number 1 pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think the Steelers are going to go ahead and get a quarterback. This is going to be really rare if it happens because the Steelers hardly ever trade. But I think they got a few defensive pieces that they can slide over to Chicago, or maybe even one of those receivers. I don't know if they want to give up too much of their offensive weapons if they're getting a quarterback, but I think that might happen. That's a team that really needs some new blood under center. So I think the Steelers go after the number 1 pick. Do you have any early predictions, or do you want to go to our video?
My early prediction is that Aaron Rodgers comes back to the Jets, shocks the world after coming off an Achilles injury, and wins the AFC East. For New York.
I like that.
And then he will get one final hurrah where he'll go back to the Super Bowl and then choke against the 49ers one last time before retiring.
Yep. That was it's very, very sad stuff. There's a lot of sad news when we get to the end of the season with people losing.
Yeah. Man, what could have been with the Jets if they just had like any sort of efficiency on offense, if they just had any consistent quarterback play, because they had
their defense was top tier almost.
near the end of the year, I think they got the number 1 rated defense. I mean, that's a great defense too there. So they could have easily made a deep postseason run just with that defense alone, as long as they could have moved the football. Bryce Hall, they need to just get that guy 30 touches a game.
I know he couldn't do everything that season. They really needed that.
All right, we're getting ready to go to team building exercise.
Before we head over to team building exercise, though, I got a quick clip or a postseason prediction. Before we go to team building exercise, though, we've got a quick clip, H-Train. We just got one more quick clip to play as we switch sound people. Not team building, but the Super Bowl prediction video.
We brought in an outside prediction as well. What are your guys' way too early season NFL 2024 season predictions?
The season just ended, so let's predict the 2025 Super Bowl. On the AFC side, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs making it. If they re-sign Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed, they will go right back to having a top 5 defensive unit. And when you give the best quarterback in the NFL a top 5 defense, you're going to the Super Bowl. And on the NFC side, even though the 49ers were incredible this year and they have one of the most talented teams I've ever seen, they're going to be losing some pieces. You just can't pay everybody. And to fill their spot is going to be the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love and LaFleur figured it out in the second half of the season, and I only think that partnership continues. I smell a Super Bowl appearance. And in the Chiefs-Packers Super Bowl, I'm taking the Chiefs again. They win their 3rd straight Super Bowl, the only franchise to ever do it. Patrick Mahomes cements himself as greater than Joe Montana, and Travis Kelce proposes to Taylor Swift on the field before retiring 2 weeks later on a trip half naked in Cabo. And the halftime performance is Lil Wayne in New Orleans. If it's not Weezy, we riot.
Chiefs 3-peating.
Yeah, I like a lot of that. I like the Packers.
Happen,
man.
They're the new empire in the NFL.
Yeah, if they 3-peat, that's going to solidify that dynasty. I think they already have created that as a dynasty, but dang. With that, everyone, we're finishing off our Super Bowl.
We'll find out, but my question is, what's the contract look for Travis Kelce? Because
I think he's still got a few years left. Their big free agents are Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed.
On the defensive side is their big ones.
Those guys were huge. I mean,
Tranquil
Sneed
is also on the thing, but Sneed
didn't give up a touchdown the whole regular season.
Yeah,
somebody got one on him in the playoffs, but he was a lockdown quarterback. He was a Pro Bowl snub. Even though I was a Chiefs hater, I can admit that. And then Chris Jones, I mean,
best defensive player.
That's Chris Jones, dudes. He can shut down the run. You can wreck the passing game. Like, you want that guy on your defensive line.
Yeah. And then we're gonna do our team building real quick. We're gonna share our little wheel before we pull everything up.
Yeah, you guys.
Last week's winner was your boy Caveman. So right now their record is 2-1. We'll try and get a vote out every week so that we can get consistent. Everybody gets a full 7 days to vote for whose team they got. So last week, just to recap our teams. Let's see, I had Geno Smith, Saquon Barkley. I had Devontae Adams and Drake London. Conklin at tight end. I had Miami offense and the 49ers defense. Miami O-line.
I'm trying to find where I put mine. 1 second, everybody.
This should be fun. I had a field day with this last time.
See if I can do it off the dome. I know I had Joe Burrow, Bijan Robinson, Puka.
You had Keenan Allen.
Okay, you guys ready?
Schultz, Jags O-line, Commanders defense.
All right, yeah, we're ready now. Let's see. First spin, HG, you got it first this week.
I'm going first this week? Oh, boy. Now, hand me a pen. We got to write this down. I got the Bills. Oh, easy. Give me Josh Allen. I don't care if he's turnover prone. He's still sick.
What's that?
All
one?
right.
The Bills again? Oh no, this wasn't spin.
San Francisco.
CMC.
That's an easy one. Who'd I get?
Chicago Bears.
Go Bears. Give me DJ Moore.
Okay, solid receiver. The Green Bay Packers. Give me that O-line. They ran the ball so efficiently in the playoffs. Give me that O-line.
So before the next spin, I have a question. When you guys do the team building, what made you start doing the team building? What kind of inspired, and how would you like the feedback from listeners and viewers on, other than the voting? What would you guys like to hear?
Well, the voting is pretty much if those two teams went head to head, who would win.
Okay.
But also if we had these teams against just one of the top teams in the NFL, would that team come out with the win? Things like that, or what it's kind of the inspiration. See YouTube videos, people playing Madden, do a random team wheel. They draft a team.
Just fantasy football.
Fantasy football as well.
It's fun getting a chance to put together a team.
Dream team almost.
What would be amazing is if you guys knew when you guys picked these next players, if you knew what college they was in and their position, because
some of them,
because people like me would then learn just kind of like a suggestion.
Well, I can tell you my quarterback went to Wyoming, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
DJ Moore, I don't remember where he went to college.
At CMC, Washington State Cougar.
That's where he went. Stanford.
Thought he went to Washington State first.
Did he go to Washington State?
I think he transferred to Stanford. So I think he played on Washington State and Stanford.
And the
CMC boy.
Packers O-line, that's 5 dudes. So.
Yeah.
Different.
The next spin here.
Something I like to, I'd be interested to hear from our viewers is how would you have drafted these teams differently too?
Yeah, if you got the same teams we did, what positions would you pick?
Man, I got
Packers.
the Packers too.
Packers again.
I'm gonna take Aaron Jones though.
Okay.
So my question is, I'm sure you guys do fantasy football, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. So are your teams really good, or are they?
My team sucked this year. Both of mine were really bad. One was auto drafted.
Yeah.
And I never switched it. And the other one I just also never switched it. So I kind of lost.
This year was kind of rough for me. I only made it to the playoffs in 2 out of my 5 leagues, and that was a first round exit in both. So
yeah, I only had 2. Both of mine, I think I combined, I had a total 2 wins this season in fantasy.
Oh, wow.
I did bad. So I'm already in team building. I'm already doing better.
Well, and I honestly think if you're in a fantasy football team, the less people, the better chances you have having a decent.
Then it's less of a league if you have less people.
True.
Then you just play the same people.
But you have a more decent team in fantasy football.
I've been in a 4-man league.
Yeah,
and it's wild because it's just it's a total crapshoot with who wins. That's the problem is everybody's team is stacked. So when you do fantasy, people like to have buy-ins and put some money on the league. If it's just 4 people, it's really not worth it because everybody's going to get a great team and then.
Yeah, true.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense. I think
you're good to spin it again.
Okay.
While we talk. Yeah, we can keep talking while we do it too.
I'm getting minimum, I think, for a good
Shut up, guy! I'm the sound person, not the host.
Well, we can keep having the conversation. We just got to keep the show moving too.
Oh, I know.
Don't even get me started.
I know.
The Bills. Oh man, you already got Josh Allen. Dang. I'm gonna take Kincaid at tight end.
Okay.
I got the Patriots. Give me their defense. They at least do defense well. All right,
that was their strong suit this season. You're good.
Okay. All right. I'm getting into the show too much. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you gotta give us a chance
Chargers.
to pick a player before he's spinning.
I'll take Justin Herbert.
Like, come on, man, don't overthink this. All right, let's see.
Philly.
Ooh, the Eagles. I'm gonna take their offensive line.
Okay.
We're gonna pretend Jason Kelce hasn't retired for this too. So it's their offensive line from last year.
The Jets.
The Jets.
Well, my only two. Okay, I'll take their defense.
You still don't have a wide receiver?
Nope. I don't. That's my last two spots open.
All right.
So I need some good hands.
All right, go ahead, spin it. I am still looking for a wide receiver.
And I have an added touch to the team building that you guys might like. I'll tell you when we get to it.
We never played our new segment intro. The Ravens.
Okay. I'm gonna take Mark Andrews for my tight end.
Come on, give me the team with the good receiving core. Packers. I'll take Romeo Dobbs again.
That's not terrible. He's gonna be good. They have like 4 like good young wide receivers who I like. And anybody on that team, on that receiving core, could really become number one.
Hey, real quick, I'm going to play your intro so that people can see it. It's the team building exercise, right?
Yeah. All right.
And I'm putting together a special team.
Okay.
Cut us off.
I know, right? Sorry about that, guys.
Cut us off.
I thought I was actually helping.
I think it's just a fade out. It cuts it out.
This is my final spin. I need a good receiver. Who is that?
The
San
49ers.
Yeah,
okay,
49ers.
I'm gonna take Brandon Ayuk. Because he's pretty interesting. Him and Debo are both number 1 caliber wide receivers. All right, final spin for Caveman.
The Chiefs. All right. He caught the game-winning. He caught the game-winning reception. So I'll take my boy. Why is his name just skipping my head?
McCole Hardman?
McCole Hardman. He got the game-winning reception. So I'll take Hardman.
That's solidified. No takebacks.
That is solidified.
All right. Why wouldn't you take Rashid Rice?
Oh yeah, they do have Rashid Rice. I'll take the guy who got the final touchdown though.
No, I'm like, no takebacks. Now you're stuck with McCole Hardman.
Let's see. That's our last spin. Go through our teams real quick.
And then the extra twist that I wanted to ask you, it's totally your team building thing, but the coach. I'd like you guys to tell me which
You want to spin for a coach real quick? We can spin for a coach.
Yeah, I like that. Let's get a coach for each team.
The Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I forget his
That's
name.
Me, so Shane.
Yeah, Shane Steichen.
Oh.
It's a call.
We have a phone call. Whoa.
From our phone number, though.
Military Broadcast Radio, H speaking. Are you calling for the? Are you calling to be on air?
People always hitting our line.
Call back in about an hour or so, okay?
So.
Yeah, Steichen. That's not really a bad coach.
I'm not too upset about that. I mean, he had a good system schemed up for Anthony Edwards. Who was Anthony Richardson, who's a pretty mobile quarterback. So Anthony Edwards, that's the wrong sport.
That would have been awesome if we put him on there.
Final spin. Who was that? Is it just someone calling in?
It was somebody calling in because they wanted to learn the podcasting and stuff.
Yeah, I noticed it was the station number that was calling us. So like, yeah, it is not a guest.
No, I thought it was a listener, you know.
With our phone number.
You're getting a former coach of the year.
Former coach of the year. I honestly forget this dude's name too.
Brian Dayball. All right. So
all right, good.
We've got,
because I think it makes a difference. I think it makes a difference with the coach on the team or whatever, you know, because you got a conservative coach, and then you got kind of like Dan Campbell, you know, Madden coach.
So,
you know,
my team's caveat is if I need to go for it on 4th and 1 in the game, whoever the third string running back is going to be is going to come in and take the ball instead of Aaron Jones.
Oh, we have a comment as well.
Oh, what's up?
Oh, they're just cracking up over here. At least we're making their morning delightful.
And that is the end of our team building. So we're gonna head to a quick break. Once we get back,
we're gonna read our teams off real quick.
Oh yeah, teams.
Okay, man. Why don't you tell us your team?
I got Justin Herbert at quarterback, CMC. My receivers are Romeo Dobbs and Nicole Hardman. I got Kincaid at my tight end spot. O-line is the Packers. Jets defense. And I got Brian Dayball as the head coach.
And then my squad, we have Josh Allen at quarterback. Aaron Jones is going to be the running back. Wide receivers, DJ Moore and Brandon Ayuk. Mark Andrews at tight end. Got the Eagles offensive line. Patriots defense, all coached by head coach Shane Steichen. Let us know who you think is going to win the battle this week. Stay with us, everybody.
kicking it over to NBA. We had some the trade deadline was last week on Wednesday, February the 8th. So that was a pretty solid trade deadline. There was a bunch. The first trade we saw was way back in November 30th, the James Harden trade. No one really thought that was going to make that much moves, but
honestly, that's been the best trade.
That's the best trade so far.
I mean, it took a while for it to get going, but man, the Clippers, they've been tough. And I mean, Kawhi Leonard's like he's played like the most games he's played in the season in a while. Like same with Paul George. And he's looking a little bit like 2019 Kawhi, I think. So that's
Clippers got Harden, PJ Tucker, and another guy. They got Petrusev. Sixers got Marcus Morris, Nick Batum, and Rocco. Also KJ Martin. And they got a bunch of picks out of that from LA. So I think, honestly, LA Clippers still won that trade. Because PJ Tucker not really is much of a threat with his shooting anymore, but he's going to bring the defensive presence that you need.
Still an excellent defender.
Yeah.
I think some of my other favorite trades from these are a little more recent. You gotta give Toronto credit for just realizing where their season's going.
They made a lot of moves.
They're probably not going to make the postseason, but they did a great job dishing guys like Anunoby and Siakam, who I know for a fact Siakam's contract is going to be up at the end of the year. I believe Anunoby's was also expiring. I mean, it's two guys you're probably not going to be able to keep. They got great value for both of them. I mean, they got really great value for Siakam. And Siakam, he's added just another level to that Pacers offense. He's been averaging 21, 7, and 5 for the Pacers in about 14 games. And Anunoby, he's been with the Knicks for a while, but he's only played 14 games because of some injuries. But I mean, he's right around 15 points per game for them. He's averaging like 2 to 3 steals a game for them as well. So those guys, they're both had great value to the teams that they're on. And the Raptors have a very bright future ahead. They got a young star in Scotty Barnes. They ended up keeping Bruce Brown too. A lot of draft picks, cleared up some cap space. Some good moves. Terry Rozier, I think that was another great trade. What are your thoughts on that one?
That one just went pretty heads up. It was like 1-for-1 deal. It was Rozier for Lowry and a pick. So I think the Hornets, they don't miss out on having to pay Scary Terry as much. I think it's kind of a steal, though, because he's going to play a much bigger role than Kyle Lowry was on the Heat.
Yeah. Lowry's still a good defender, and there's a chance his contract gets bought out and he's on a different team we'll see what happens when the buyout window closes. But for the Heat, this was a great move because Lowry's having a down year offensively. And now you've got Rozier and Tyler Hero, you'll have a great on-ball guard on your court at all times.
Good 3-level scoring option when they get Scary Terry.
Either or could probably start. I think Terry's probably just your better option as a starter. He's been doing a little bit longer. But he's just a great 3-level scorer as well. So that was a really good trade for them. What was your favorite trade of the whole trade deadline this season?
My favorite trade, honestly, let me look through here because there was quite a bit that happened on February 8th. I tried to write down every single trade. So let me look through here.
And while you're doing that, my thoughts on this trade deadline, there are some teams that made some good moves. They gave themselves some good depth. But I mean, besides really the Harden trade early in the year, there was never there wasn't really a trade that caused the team to take a huge jump as a title favorite.
I think my favorite trade, probably the ones that the Knicks have been doing. The first trade getting Anunoby, and then the next trade they ended up getting. Let's see here, just lost it.
Oh, they got Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burke.
Yeah, from Pistons, and they gave up 4 players really that don't really play that much of a role on their bench for Bogdanovic.
Second. I mean, I think the best player the Knicks had to give up for that was Evan Fournier, but they got 2
Yeah, they
got a really
Fournier.
solid guard in Burks, who's gonna just be helpful off the bench for them, and then a good 3-and-D guy like Bogdanovic there at the 4. So now, I mean, New York did a great job. I mean, they got their starting lineup just about figured out. Now they have great depth. I think come playoff time, you just got to get these guys integrated into the schemes and get your. But Thibodeau's been doing a good job down there and just get your playoff rotation set down the stretch here. But New York's looks pretty good.
There was a lot of really small trades that happened. Here's the Knicks one. They gave away Malachi Flynn, Quentin Grimes, Ryan Arcidiacono, and Evan Fournier, and 2 picks. They got Alex Burks and Bogdanovic. And there was just a lot of really small ones that happened. The Thunder got rid of Mitchich, Trey Mann, and Davis Bertans, and 2 picks via Philly and the Rockets for Gordon Hayward. That's a pretty good trade for the Thunder, really.
If I got to chime in on that one because that is, I think, my favorite move that's been made. That was made right before the deadline. The Thunder, they're a young team, but
it adds really a veteran piece,
playoff experience. But you've got a former All-Star caliber player in Aaron Gordon, or it's not Gordon Hayward.
A lot of Gordons in the NBA,
who hasn't, obviously after the injury hasn't been playing quite at that level, but he's still a very solid player. And he doesn't need to be the number one guy there, You've got Shea. You've got, guys like Chet. I mean, it's a deep team.
It adds a good shooting piece to their bench or even their starting lineup, depending on where they put him.
And, now that he's not a number one option, he might not be getting the team's best defender or second best defender. I mean, we've seen like that could be huge in the playoffs. Like, think back to Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Aaron Gordon, kind of more of a role player on the Nuggets, used to being the number one guy, but hey, he's not now. He's not getting the best defenders because, those guys are being saved for Jokic and Murray. He had his chance to shine in a finals game, led the team in scoring, and just had himself an incredible game. So,
how did you feel?
Hayward might have a chance to do something like that.
How'd you feel about the Bucks? The Bucks going after Pat Bev for campaign. They also gave up 1 pick there, but Bucks going to pick up a good defensive piece in Pat Bev.
That guy who's won Defensive Player of the Year anymore. I don't know, like Pat Bev is still a really good player. He is, on the older side of his career. He's up there around like 35. And they do need help on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe like losing Drew Holiday. I mean, it hurt them a lot more than that. I think they were expecting. But I feel like, campaign just gives you more scoring off the bench. And, he definitely, if we're going to plan on keeping both of these guys long-term, campaign, you just have a much longer, that you could just have a much longer future with him than Pat Bev. But I think, their immediate need was to build an identity on defense. And so I like that trade for them. A trade that I think both you and me missed that I can't believe we did because it's honestly a good one. The Rockets got Steven Adams from the Grizzlies.
Oh, yeah.
For Victor Oladipo.
Steven Adams for Oladipo, and they also gave away picks via Atlanta.
I liked that trade a lot. I can't believe I missed it when they initially happened.
Yeah.
Because Adams and Sungul there now. I mean, that's just a great 1-2 combo.
Oh, yeah. With Alperen Sengun and Steven Adams is going to be a crazy duo to watch.
Absolutely.
I think he's going to help out the young team quite a bit. I think Steven Adams adds a piece to every team. He's really protective and loyal over his teammates. It's good for those young players in Houston to learn because that's not really a team that you expect right now to be trying to win. Even when they had John Wall, it wasn't really their plan.
But they're having a solid season right now. I think they have a chance to
get in that play-in. Heck
least. Yeah.
Let's go Houston.
I mean, don't forget Fred VanVleet's down there now too.
Yep. And that's one of the most underrated Raptors ever.
Yeah.
You tell you he has the most points scored in a game for the Raptors with 54, the most assists in a game. He's their scoring leader all time. Fred VanVleet deserves more credit than he gets.
And honestly, if I had never seen Drake at a Raptors game, you couldn't have convinced me that those guys weren't the same person. I think the Mavs made some decent trades too.
They went and picked up a lot of bench pieces.
Bringing in Gafford, yeah, he is a good bench piece. I think PJ Washington, a younger player than Grant Williams, still a good defender, great athletic ability. He's just kind of unproven in the playoffs, though. And I know Grant Williams hasn't exactly panned out the way the Mavericks might have been hoping, but we've seen Grant Williams have big performances in the playoffs, and I'm just not sure you want to get rid of a dude like that you've seen be able to do it on a big stage. Like he's had some huge moments in like game 7s for the Celtics. Do you want to trade away a guy that's proven himself in the playoffs or an unproven commodity? Mavericks are going for it. I mean, you got to feel really confident when you have Luka and Kyrie leading the way, though. So
we had also
for that, and you got a great defender like Marcus Smart there.
That's true. I think Dallas is pretty underrated this season. I want to see where they turn it around. We had a lot of 3-team trades this season, like the Pacers Warriors trade. Pacers got Corey Joseph, got a pick via Charlotte and some cash conditions. Warriors just got a pick, and then looks like another team on that one. Yeah, the Hornets also just got cash considerations on that. So there's a lot of like moves that had to happen just so teams could free up cap space to end it off.
I'll say another move that I think is kind of getting overlooked is Monte Morris to the Timberwolves.
Oh yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm not sure what their plans with him are long term, if they wanted to move him into the starting lineup, but if they can get him coming off the bench, he was rock solid for the Nugs coming off the bench. I mean, he has, one of the best assist to turnover ratios. Having him, he is a great backup point guard and a guy like super reliable guy to have go out there and lead your second unit, which that could be big for the T-Wolves come playoff time. Well, especially because, in the playoffs, you usually, the best teams, their rotation consists of having at least one of their best starting 5 players on the floor at all times. So, he'll probably during the playoffs be out there with either at least Cat or Ant on the floor at all times too. So he'll be good to pair up with those guys. I like that trade for them. I'll be sad if the Nuggets end up running into the Timberwolves in the playoffs, and Murray's he has to give Monte 40.
Well, speaking of teams that are kind of looking like they might see somebody in the playoffs, 76ers, how are they looking without Embiid right now? I think they're definitely gonna lack in the post and the 2-man game, obviously, without him. They still got good playmaking and they can stretch the floor, but will it get them into the spot to get them a high seed later in the playoffs?
It's certainly going to hurt them on defense. I mean, Tyrese Maxey, he can really get it going offensively, but who's going to stop some of these dynamic bigs that the Sixers have got to play? And they've struggled a lot without him this year. They're 4-10 without Embiid.
It leaves them It leaves them in a hole.
And now they're going to be a whole month without him.
This is their best player.
Do I think they missed the playoffs? No, but I think they might have to.
They're going to have to fight for They're going to be fighting for that seed.
Right now, they're sitting at 4th the last time, or 5th the last time I checked the standings. They're 31-21. Can you try to, win at least 5 games while he's gone in that time period? I think that'll be the key to staying out of the play-in. The All-Star break is coming up here this weekend, so there'll be at least a little bit of a stretch where they don't have to worry about that. But Yeah, it'll be tough for them to avoid the play-in without him in there, but for sure. And then you have to wonder how healthy is that knee going to be in the postseason.
Hopefully looking good.
How's that going to affect their postseason success?
We've got our All-Star break coming up though.
Yeah, with Buddy Hield coming in there, I mean he's a great versatile shooter, a huge 3-point threat. Like they have a deep team. The Sixers do, but a lot of their success hinges on number 21 and his health.
Speaking of our All-Star break coming up, 35-17 pre-All-Star break. The Cavs on Tuesday, they lost their 9-game streak to the Philadelphia 76ers. But the Cavs were on a 9-game stretch there. Pre-All-Star break, 35-17 record. They're looking pretty good for a team that you would not really hear on that far end of the radar. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, nearly 30 points per game. Garland's nearly 20 points per game. Evan Mobley and his brother are shooting pretty good. Evan Mobley's a double-double right now, 58%. You've also got Isaiah Mobley is leading their team in three-point shooting at 50% exactly. I mean, they've got great rebounders as well with Jared Allen, and Karis LeVert's pretty good playmaker off the bench. They've got a lot of pieces. It's just can that team figure it out once we get to spring?
I think so. Mitchell's playing at an MVP caliber season. Before I go on with that, I just want to answer SS Star's comment. If we're going to get a Sixers Nuggets NBA Finals, the NBA might have to move the finals back to January. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah, we won't see any Joel Embiid in the home games, so that'd suck. That would be an interesting finals, though. It'd be a real head-to-head matchup with those two bigs.
They play great games in Philly. I mean, just don't get great games in Denver because he doesn't come here. But back to the Cavaliers, I think they make it at least out of the first round. I don't think their first round exits this year. They're going to get a lower seed if they can keep winning games and hold on to that 2 spot. Mitchell could easily be an MVP this season. He's playing really great. As you mentioned, Eric Mobley having a good year, Jared Allen, great defender, having a better offensive year. I like the Cavs' chances. I think that team, a lot of those guys were kind of caught off guard being in the playoffs. I mean, Jared Allen even said, the lights were brighter than he expected. Well, now, if you go back, you're used to those lights. You're likely going to be a higher seed.
Yeah, they got a chance.
You don't want to say anything for certain because there's still, nearly 2.5 months of basketball after you get past the All-Star break, but got a good chance to be a high seed, have a quicker series. That's what you want as these higher seeds is you want a quick series to give your guys a chance to rest up and have some extra rest going up against some of these powerhouse lower seed teams. Because I mean, yeah, if you're the Cavs, you might end up playing like a 7 seed, but then you got to play like the winner of the 3-6 seed, right? That's how the seeding works. So you got to play the winner of the 3-6. Well, that could either be, that might be Philly.
Play to win the game.
That might be Philly, or that might be New York, who knocked them out last year. And I mean, we've even seen like lower seeds like the Heat make a push. So nothing's guaranteed in this league.
How do you feel about the Warriors and their defensive resurgence after the Draymond return? And their defense is getting led very well by him. Yeah, 114 points per 100 possessions, just 10th in the NBA. And then half-court possessions, they're 97.6 in 100 half-court possessions, which is also 10th. So their resurgence on defense before we had that amazing game winner against the Suns. I mean, they really turned it around after that suspension. Everyone said that Kerr was losing the locker room. That was a big rumor around. I think we even talked about that one week on the show. I mean, they really flipped the script.
Yeah, it was a great turnaround by them. And they starts on the defensive end because, Steph's been pretty much unstoppable this year, and he's scoring at will. The problem is he just can't outscore how badly they've been giving up points on defense. And it was a lot of blowing leads. It was bad fourth quarter defense that, had them even outside the play-in. But they lost a game where Steph had 60 points because they gave up 141. Since then, they've won 5 in a row against some good teams, against the Suns, against the Pacers. They played Brooklyn, who's having a pretty good year. They got a lot of young stars there. Albeit they beat the Sixers without Embiid, but that defense has been huge on that resurgence. Just, if you're able to keep the game close and you have an elite shooter like Steph Curry and you give him a chance to take one of the final shots or just to hit a clutch shot to ice it, you'll start winning games like that.
That leads us into our top 5 plays. That is one of our picks this week.
So
we're going to show you guys. We got a
segment we're
top
doing,
5 list.
HG and Caveman's top 5 plays of the week. So starting it off at number 5, we're going to go back to the Super Bowl on a little trick play the 49ers ran.
Well, before you go into that, do you guys want to go on break?
No, we only got like 10 minutes.
Okay, all right. So which one? Touchdown pass 5?
That's the one.
Trick play. Oh, this ball's in the air for a long time. McCaffrey's able to pull it down, and he's going in for the touchdown. Second on the play clock. 2nd and 9. Purdy's pass. Caught. Jennings did it.
Joel Jennings' other touchdown in there
that was his.
Because
that video is saying that he should have won that Super Bowl MVP. He had a good game, though, threw a passing touchdown and got a receiving touchdown.
So only reason that trick play wasn't higher came in the losing effort, Chiefs. But coming in at number 4, Tyrese Halliburton finds himself in trouble. So what does he do? What's he do? Oh, he just passes it back to himself off the backboard. Should have number 4 at the end.
Acelera, ameaça o arremesso de longe. Olha o que fez o Halliburton. O passe com o Siaka. Veio o tiro de longe para 3 pontos para Indiana.
Tinha que cair.
É por essas e outras que Tyrese Halliburton brilha a cada dia. É o All-Star do Indiana Pacers e o Pascal Siakam completa.
If you didn't know, that's Portuguese. Shout out to NBA Brazil for posting that video. That was the only one I could save to my camera roll. So yeah, that's that one.
I love some of these international calls though, especially the NBA ones. They get gassed up about that. So NBA fans.
But literally that pass is insane.
Yeah, and then I think it would have been higher because we've seen guys alley-oop it to themselves off the glass. But
alley-oop assist. I don't know if we've ever seen that too often.
That's pretty unique. And hey, he's the assist leader in the NBA right now. So, of course, he's going to hit his teammate. And Siakam coming in clutch to knock it down. Coming in at number 3, we're actually going to keep it with the Pacers.
Aaron Nesmith.
Teammate of Halliburton with just a vicious.
Caught himself a body.
Yeah.
That's our number 3 clip.
Pajemski has it. Here come the screens. Curry comes free. Gets the ball. Puts up a 3-pointer. Charlie Brown getting some early minutes here. Taj Gibson on the floor as well.
What makes LTV unique in the history of...
Yo, it's HG, guys.
Okay.
This is Aaron Nesmith, dunks number 3.
Nesmith for the running start. Oh, my goodness. Just destroyed it. Aaron Nesmith. Woo! My goodness, that was vicious. Woo. We told you he's got a body. Says a lot of credit. He knows how to use it, folks. And challenges the rim. Right there's the punch. Ooh.
The goat of that clip.
Those were the Hornets announcers making that call.
That's who I model my play-by-play game after. That dude right there brings the heat to the commentary booth.
They just love the game of basketball. So even
I
though
love
it's
that guy.
happening against their team, I mean, you got to get hyped after a post who dunk like that.
Yeah, that was
Now,
absolutely mean slam by
we gave
Aaron.
you guys a little teaser of it, and we were talking about it earlier. But number 2 is
Steph Curry
doing what he does, hitting game-winning shots.
Pajemski has it. Here come the screens. Curry comes free. Gets the ball, puts up a three-pointer. Bang! Steph Curry nails the three-pointer with 7/10 of a second remaining.
On the call. And
no,
his iconic
seriously. He adds everything to it.
One of the most iconic calls in all of sports. It's absolutely exhilarating to hear if you're just watching a game of a team you're not a fan of neither, or it happens to your team. One of the worst sounds to hear if it happens against your team. Man, is it rough.
Yeah.
You like to
playoff
be on the good
time.
side of that.
Playoff time, hearing that against your team, you just hope that your team has the ball. But that 30-foot jump shot, the improvisation on that.
Well, especially it was kind of a bad inbound pass, and he almost lost it. And he just turns around, stops, and pops, drains it.
From the hash mark, pretty much.
Yep.
And that's what Curry does. That's his usual.
But our number 1 play of the league is Luka Doncic.
Charlie Brown getting some early minutes here. Taj Gibson on the floor as well. And Powell open. Luka Doncic with a little spice.
Come on. Oh, that was right-handed. He did turn around. Nonetheless, that's just incredible. That's off a blitz. The guy got blitzed.
I didn't mean to cut you guys off.
The playmaking that Luka has always brought to that team, just averaging as many triple doubles as this guy does, and you can't expect anything less from him.
I mean, just an absolutely magical pass. He might win assist of the year again. I mean, remember last year where he like threw it like around the basket almost, like double teamed in the corner. He threw it from the right corner all the way to the left, like on a kind of hook shot around the defense. And now this one, I mean, not only was it a no look pass, but like he threw it behind the back.
That's pretty accurate too.
Like, oh,
he tried to do it the next night, and it went way out of bounds. He like flung a crazy pass into the stands. It was funny.
He got some zip on that one, man. Powell was
Yeah, he had that was like a back shoulder pass right there. That's crazy. What a throw from Luka. That was our top 5 plays. If you had any other ones, go ahead and call in, text in, leave it in the comments, because I'm sure we do miss things. That was just our top 5 most memorable things that we saw this week.
If you want to submit, maybe a play to be in consideration for the top 5 plays, once these shows are done, they go up on Spotify. There's a Q&A, just like a what did you think of the show option. You can go in there at any point while it shows up on Spotify and tell us, hey, you guys see this crazy play and this game. Maybe put this in your top 5 plays of the week.
Play of the week. Maybe it's even a story that you want us to cover. Just let us know. That's a good way for us to interact with you. I like that, HG.
Hey, before you guys end it, I wanted you guys to announce it, since you are our sports insider. So we had a giveaway during the Super Bowl, if you caught that. And one of the things that we were giving away, and I'm showing it now, is this baseball card. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, if you guys remember seeing this, but this is a Mahomes baseball card, or football card. Okay, so we have a winner, and I was going to let you guys announce it, and it is none other than Slacker 82 Alpha. So I wanted you guys to
congrats,
Slacker man.
82 Alpha.
He's got our political show on MBR. Hopefully I can tune in. Once you get the card, you got to show everybody. That'll be pretty cool.
And what was that? What were you telling us that one was valued at, H? Because it's a pretty high value.
You know, it's funny you said that because the person that does the whole card thing, he wrote me and he's like, dude, it just so happens that we picked the right quarterback. Like that card is worth so much more now compared to where it was. Yeah. I think it's like it was $1 or something, and now it's probably worth like 50 or $40 or something.
Must have been before their whole like huge blow up.
Well, and they named him MVP, so that just puts even more shit on it.
There's one final story I did want to touch base on today before we head out of here. There was a young player on Washington State on their basketball team, Miles Rice. His freshman season at Washington State, before the actual season started, he was diagnosed with cancer. He was battling cancer for that whole entire season. Was in remission June 2023, and he's back now to potentially lead the Cougars to their first national tournament since 2008. This is a team that they beat red hot number 8 Arizona Wildcats this season. They just had a nice game against Oregon. He had 21 points, 9 boards, 3 assists. He's averaging 15 points per game. He's shooting, 45.6%. This dude, to come back from battling cancer and then leading your team to the national tournament, there's going to be a lot of eyes watching the Washington State team this season.
What an incredible story.
It's pretty crazy. I actually do have a video clip, H.
Okay.
Once you're done typing the comment there.
Okay.
Put that in. It was a Miles Rice recap.
All right. Hopefully that I spelled that right. We're fixing to find out. There we go. I just wanted to make sure that we do that. And then you said that the video.
Miles Rice recap.
Got it.
One of the top freshmen in the nation has a story you need to hear. Miles Rice was a star in high school before committing to Washington State. He was gearing up for his freshman year when in September 2022, he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma. In other words, cancer. He spent one of the toughest years of his life getting chemo, far removed from hooping. But 9 months later, he went into remission and was able to return to the court late this past summer. Now as a freshman at West, Rice is averaging over 17 points per game and was just named Pac-12 Freshman of the Week. Washington State has jumped out to a 6-1 start, and Rice has scored in double figures in 6 of those games. Congrats to Miles Rice, who went from beating cancer to beating the top guards in the nation.
Week, everyone.
Yeah,
that's an incredible story, man.
Incredible story. I hope they make it.
And Washington State, nothing but good luck.
That was earlier in the season when they were 6-1. They're not in the top 25 right now, but they're still playing that same brand of basketball, especially when you upset a top 10 ranked team in the country. That's a big win in a Pac-12, like a pretty powerhouse Pac-12 conference when it comes to men's basketball. Same with women's, because the women's team is number 4 or number 8 in the country as well, I think. Number 4 on the AP vote. They upset LSU. This way to open the season. And their next week was 97-38. They beat a team HG in week 2. They have the CU women's. They absolutely are on a tear right now.
But college hoops in general is in a good spot. It's going to be an exciting March Madness for both men's and women's. And we got Caitlin Clark is having a historic year.
8 points away.
8 points away from breaking the scoring record. So.
Kelsey Plum, watch out. Caitlin Clark's coming for that scoring record. That's in the entire NCAA. So it's wild. They recently got upset by Nebraska in a huge game. But she's right there. It's a crazy way for her to get her season going, too. I think it's her senior year.
Wow.
So she'll be a first-round draft pick in the WNBA.
For sure.
For sure.
With that, everyone,
before we end, let everybody know when's the next Regis game.
Next Regis games, March 1st and March 2nd, they're going to be playing, and then the playoffs start March 5th. So
we will be there for at least one, as long as the women can hang on to their top 4 spot. you get to host your quarterfinal match.
Yeah, they've got a 3-game road trip. Final 2 games are at home, and then the RMAC tournament starts.
Now, are you guys going to be announcing for the tournament or just the home games?
At least the home game.
All right.
Which, hoping, fingers crossed, they got one. Black Hill State lost the same night that Regis lost to Westminster, so it could keep them up there to have a home spot.
I was looking last night though. Regis, the men have dropped to 6th, unfortunately.
Oh,
MSU
man.
Denver also jumped them, and then Black Hill State is ahead of them.
Dang. That's heartbreaking. I really wanted to watch a home playoff game for the men. They're an underdog for sure.
They're not out of it completely, but they do. They'll need to win most of their games and get some help along the way, but still could have 2 home playoff games to start the RMAC tournament for them. All right, everybody. Well, that's going to be the show today.
Thank you for
all
watching.
so much for tuning in. And always remember, we love hearing from the viewers. So don't be afraid to share your thoughts with us. We'll see you here next week, 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time.
So.
Yeah,
That's the show for today, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with an all-new show. And remember, you can listen to us again and again. The podcast of this radio show is available right after we go off the air tonight, anywhere that you can get your podcast episodes. And thanks for joining us today. I'd like to take a moment to talk about